What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the world's greatest podcast with your boy, Joe Bunn, on the other end, all the way up.
What's up, everybody? This is Mike Walter. I love when Joe builds it up that much. World's greatest podcast. I love it.
And then to my right, this handsome gentleman is Howard Wallach, ladies and gentlemen.
Michael, does this lighting make me look bald?
Is it it is part two.
Oh,
and I'm rapidly
it's your bald head that makes you look bald.
I'm rapidly approaching.
Ain't this a bitch.com?
So we got.
How are you, Howard?
Back in the building. So hopefully you listened to episode 1 where Mike pretty much directed that conversation. And that was okay with me because I actually learned a lot, and maybe I'll kind of lead this one. But Howard Wallach is the owner of A to Z in Chicago, Illinois, one of my favorite cities in the entire United States, and happened to be coming towards this way and made a detour. So we are creating some content for not only you guys, but we will also, while I have him here, have him in the White Room studio tonight shooting videos. So
nice.
It's basically Pimp Your Friend Day.
I love it.
Okay. But I did take him to lunch, and I promised him a delicious dinner if he did well tonight.
Has he done well so far? Has he earned dinner so far?
So far.
Okay,
so,
good.
Again, everybody, if you didn't listen to episode 1 with Howard, please do so. We talked a lot about mitzvahs, but there are so many takeaways and nuggets in there, even if you're not a mitzvah specialist, about staffing and other things. So check that out. So anyway, part 2 with Howard Wallach. Let me ask you a question, Howard, because we did focus so much on mitzvahs last time. Tell me, can you kind of, and again, you don't need to break out a spreadsheet or pull up your QuickBooks, but how does A to Z's event list look over the course of a year? Is it like 20% mitzvah, 20% wedding, 50% other, 10% blah, blah, blah?
You're pretty spot on. If I were to break it down probably into quarters, it would be 25% wedding, 25% mitzvah, 25% corporate, and then every other thing. Being in this business and doing it as long as I have, I'm excited at the different challenges and opportunities. I try not to say no unless it's legit not a good fit or the effort does not match the reward.
Right.
But I ultimately, if they're exploiting me, I'm exploiting them. If I feel like an event is a means to a better end, I will take it. And sometimes I do it as a loss leader. We call that experiential branding. I'm not going to take an ad out in the yellow pages, but I will be happy to do the right group, do them right, and take care of them on a price point.
Right.
If I think it's going to benefit me in the big picture.
Right. So you and I were talking a little bit about this at lunch in terms of getting into the corporate market or playing to, corporate audiences and kind of getting into that realm of DJing. And we both agreed, like you said, I don't really market to these people, but I use the millennials will not understand this term, but my Rolodex or my list of contacts from other types of shows. And we just actually saw, which will be released soon, and I guess the world will be able to see soon, a reel that Howard's put together about 1 minute and 50 seconds. It's unbelievable about some corporate events he's done, but kind of just touch on that, like a little bit about how you use the parties that you do to kind of get you in the door at, say, an IBM or something like that.
Right. And again, I'm only speaking my truth.
Yeah.
I can only tell you what has worked in the context of my experience.
Right.
I know there are plenty of businessmen out there, fellow DJs who are exploiting Google and Facebook ads and wonderful opportunities on social media. It's not my reality. My reality is that if I could connect the dots on all the years of corporate experiences, I'm going to go so far as to say is that 90% of those opportunities, whether it was a trade show, a Christmas party, an activation, right, a milestone event, all the corporate work I've done has usually happened because someone in the organization experienced A to Z firsthand and said, boy, you would be such a good fit. Your energy or your talent or your equipment would be a perfect match for this thing coming up. And what I have done over the years is I used to just take the call and say, oh, thank you. You want karaoke? Sure, no problem. Now, as a more mature and seasoned hospitality professional, I really try to evaluate when these business calls come in and they say, hey, we want you at our picnic or we want you for our awards dinner. I legit try to be a solutionist. I want to say, where are you in the planning of all of this? Who makes up the committee? Who is the decision maker? What did you do last time? And when I have context, I say, this is a lot of information to take in. Tell me more about your company. And I get them so excited talking about themselves, just like the brides and the grooms like to, that it mandates a follow-up face-to-face. I say, this has been really a lot to take in. I would really enjoy the opportunity to sit with you face-to-face. And believe me, when we get in there and all of a sudden I give them enthusiasm and I give them fresh ideas and a different perspective, I'm not someone you've worked with before. Here are some cool things to consider for your meeting. And at the end of the day, I can convert a very linear quote. They wanted a microphone, or they wanted a DJ, or they wanted help with a video. Now we're doing 7 or 8 pieces of the logistics that make up the corporate event. And then that converts into getting into different departments and getting into, it becomes not only repeat business, it becomes referral business.
Right.
Some people will say, companies are one and done. People change jobs, they move along. I'm here to tell you that if you create the right environment, the right relationship, these can be long-term contracts. It has been very fruitful for me.
So basically you and I were also talking though, and anything I've ever read, or, I'll see a documentary or something, or read a book, or one of these kind of gurus writes about a billionaire, like a Mark Cuban, for example. Mark Cuban is a billionaire because he never said no. Are you kind of that way as well? And in other words, if somebody came to you, and you and I talked about this a little bit at lunch, and said, all right, well, we need a logo for this theme party, for IBM that's at the, Hilton Ballroom, and it's going to be a Maui theme, and we wanted to call it IBM Island. Would you go so far as to do that? And would it be in-house, or would you literally take it on, charge them $200 and mark it up to $500?
Well, listen, like many of us, we develop so many skills owning our own business.
Right. We
become accountants and managers and marketers. I happen to have a certain set of skills. I'm particularly good at writing copy and creating. I'm a Photoshop guy.
Okay.
So I can manipulate images. So back in the day, Michael, remember, it wasn't just open air green screen photo booths. It was magazine covers.
Yeah.
Right.
8 by 10 prints.
Yep.
That's where I started. I loved it. I loved getting into that. So people will say to me, hey, one of my friends that I grew up with will say, hey, my boss is doing a PowerPoint, but it looks like hell.
Right.
The font is too small. It's one-dimensional. Can you clean this up? And I'll say, hold on, what is this for?
Oh, right.
And I'll slow it down and I'll say, I'm not digging this 1977 looking logo. Can we do something? Are you glued to this? And before you know it, once I get face-to-face with the stakeholder, the person that's making the decision, right, who's going to sign off on it. Because oftentimes, and this is important, I'm going to say this later, but who calls you is not necessarily the person that's going to sign on the dotted line. You've got to weed through that. You've got to be perceptive. And without being a drill sergeant asking them a million questions, you do got to get to the bottom line. You got to get to the right person. And although you're going to hear people don't have time to sit down face-to-face, believe me, they're not successful and Mark Cuban and doing well by not having face-to-face. if it's important enough and it becomes a priority, you get everybody on the team together. It could be 20 minutes long, but face to face, and they get the vibe, they get the energy, unlike any slick email or anything else we're doing. And that is what is working.
And when you say the word we get it face to face. I mean, you're taking these calls, you're doing these meetings, right?
I am. At my company, I am the rainmaker.
Yeah.
I am the closer.
I love that.
But I do rely on my support team. The guys in the field, the women in the office, all of my talent, right, to do everything. If we, what's the expression? We promise a 10 and deliver an 11.
Right.
Howard, I think you have to be your company's spokesperson because you have such great, amazing energy and you just exude so much enthusiasm. Is that something you wake up every morning like that? Is there something that you can share with us, Joe and I, and our listeners? Like, how does that happen because I mean, I don't know you that well, Howard, but every time I've seen you, you're here at a 10. How do you wake up every day with that?
First of all, thank you. I will take that as a compliment.
He drinks a lot.
You should. It's a compliment.
I go to these conferences, Michael, and I'm actually shocked at a couple of things. I think your energy precedes you, and I'm floored at some of the body language that I see at the conferences. And I'm not just talking about what they wear or that they might be overweight and out of. I mean, just their presentation is lacking. They don't make eye contact. They don't give you a firm handshake. They don't. So I tell all of the young people that work with me, it's kind of like every weekend we go out, you're a freshman in high school, you're a freshman in college, you're brand new to the environment. No one knows who you are. You're putting out that mojo, right? So yeah, when you meet me and you see me bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, it's not an act. It happens to be who I am. I have, my father-in-law called me, I'm a concierge. Like I'm just all about that. But hospitality runs in my DNA. If you knew me as a kid, I'm a pleaser. I bring that to my career. I pride myself on being a genuine connector. I'm what you would call a networker. Mm-hmm. So as my friend Dave in Canada would say, networking is key. It is a big part of who I am authentically. I'm not doing a fake 30-second elevator speech. I'm not half listening. I am intentionally listening and saying, oh, you would be a good match for this person. Yeah. And I find that there's a lot of goodwill in that world, and it comes back to me over and over and over again. So I am legitimately excited. I still love rolling up my sleeves every weekend. Believe me, the wide assortment of parties that I do, not just the weddings and mitzvahs, but everything I'm doing, I still think it's a cerebral experience. All the if-thens that unfold in front of us, Michael, every time we work is like, it's what keeps me going. I love it. If this was by rote, if this was play these 7 songs in this order, I would lose my mind. I'm just like the bat mitzvah kid with the short attention span. It would drive me crazy.
Right. So I
am who I am.
You mentioned fitness in that answer, and you're in your mid-50s. You obviously keep yourself in shape. Is that a big part of the being able to wake up with that energy every day?
I am thoughtful about my presentation in general. So I want to be trim. I want to have good energy. I do think diet is important. I do think working out is important. In my 40s, I put on 7 half marathons and 6 triathlons, but that's behind me. I had some knee issues and L4 and L5 bulge. So I'm a little bit more conservative these days. My go-to is swimming. I believe that for me, it is the best of all worlds.
If Marcello is listening right now, he's saying, see, Mike, I told you, because he tells me all the time, dude, give up running, start swimming, focus on it. And
I've had some things happen,
I should.
So
I really need to.
It works for me. And I'm not saying that's the magic.
But kudos to you, Howard, because we all know it's harder to do as you get older, and you've obviously made it a priority. Just like we talked about travel in the last episode, it's not luck. Your fitness level is not luck. It's you focusing on it and doing what you need to do for whatever reason, whatever your inspiration to do it, you've done it.
I thrive on the outside. Hiking anything on the water. It drives me. We were joking. I mean, half the draw of going to Las Vegas is, the education, the hanging out, but Marcello's hike.
Yeah.
If I wasn't going to the seminar, I would still go to Las Vegas to go to
Right. Right.
It
Very
is
true.
camaraderie, and it is the wilderness in its full glory. I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Genuinely.
Right. Right.
So guys, I mean, if you got anything out of this seminar or this podcast today, it should be a lot. And I want to recap a few things just because Howard said a lot in only 20 minutes or so. First and foremost, if you're dealing with corporate clients or you want to deal with corporate clients, take a look at your other book. Take a look at your wedding clients. Take a look at your pool parties, the other ways that you've literally entertained other crowds.
And don't be afraid to ask. If you have a bride and groom and they have wonderful jobs, this one works for an advertising agency, this one works for a hospital,
Exactly.
a law firm. You're happy, you like what I do. Do you think I would be a good fit? Can you make an introduction to someone who might benefit from, my wheelhouse, all my gear, all of our talent? Ask. Ask.
He said this at lunch. The people we're working for have jobs. They made money to pay you somehow. So ask them, if you would be a good fit there. It's still in your wheelhouse. We are able to do corporate events. The other thing is be a yes man. I'm a huge fan of being a yes man. I've taken a lot of business from DJs in this area that have walked into venues and, asked to be moved, asked where their food was, or asked if they could, put the monogram on the wall instead of the floor. And they say, no. And they're no men. And that gets you nowhere. I just made that up, by the way. So being
It's very clever, Joe. I like it.
Thank you. I kind of like it too.
Yeah.
Being a yes man, I think is critical. I think Howard has embodies that when he deals, especially with these corporate clients, but also with the mitzvah clients. I think people that come in sometimes wanting something super basic I just want a mirror booth at my event, can end up spending tens of thousands of dollars, not because he's upselling them or he's a shyster or what is that a good word?
It's a good word. You have to go into these relationships. I am advocating for you. I'm so privileged to work with you. Let me shine for you. I will in turn make you look like a rock star.
Right,
whether it's
that's their job.
To your family, to your friends, or to your boss.
Yep.
Let's collaborate. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's knock it out of the park. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it.
Cool.
Anything else, Mike?
Good stuff. No, I love it. Howard, I wish you were in Jersey instead of Raleigh. I love hanging with you. Always have. Always have. You gonna be in AC?
AC. I ended up, the problem is I got last minute business. But I talked to Sean and said that 2020, I'm going to block out those dates.
Okay.
I'm going to meet up with my friend Anthony in Philly, and we're going to make our way together.
Very cool.
Down to the DJ time show.
And he's
Very
coming
cool.
to the Collective next year. He couldn't.
Okay.
He's got a gig on Monday.
All right.
So
how about Wedding MBA? No, I'm not going to see you for a while then, Howard.
Maybe a little bit, but that's
All
okay.
right.
We'll stay in touch.
That's right. We definitely will. I think this was good, Joe.
Really good, guys.
We got 2 episodes out of Howard Wallach. That's well done. And you're going to make some videos with him?
I got to get him some more coffee and drive around and show him some of the sites in Raleigh, and then we're going to shoot some videos tonight.
Very cool. Howard, thank you very much.
You're the man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening,
Have
everybody.
a good one, everybody. Ciao.
Later, y'all.